Okay, so for a dull moment. Perspective
It's a new
drawing.
film now, new video.
Should just go in and edit fancily. Okay, so with perspective, what do you know about it already? What do you know about perspective already?
You can make things look further away, like
Closer.
closer.
Depth of field.
That's it.
Yeah. What else do you know about perspective? This is just, I'm just trying to pull out your
What is it?
existing
In
knowledge.
relation to size, like
Focal, is it a focal point or no?
Yeah, okay. So focal point. Just adding it all down here. Yeah? What else?
the size of subjects. Is that
Scale.
it? Scale.
Yeah.
Yeah? What else? Anything else? So have any of you actually gone through some lessons in perspective drawing? You might have, I know you might have at school, because you brought something up, didn't you? You said at school you did a lot of stuff like VisCom.
My art teacher, we had to do a little practice, I remember, and it was more so like doing a road, looking like it's going further away, kind of like over a hill in a way. And that's what I was like planning on trying to incorporate in one of the drawings.
Now, I thought I had a marker pen, and I was going to do it in a marker pen to make it easier. I'm going to go in a marker pen. Alright, so
Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
you can all do this exercise with me. Are you ready?
Yes.
I'll give you the principles first of all. Should we do the train tracks, or do you want to do the street?
Train tracks.
We'll do a street and train tracks, but we do 1 point perspective as train tracks. Okay, so train tracks. Okay, so I'm actually going to use pencil as well. You can use rulers for it. But here's 1 point perspective. 1 point perspective is where you're drawing someone to that centre bias. Okay, so you need to have a horizon line here. Okay. And on top of your horizon line, you then need to decide where are your eyes looking. So this will affect everything. So to make it easy, this is the vanishing point. So here's your vanishing point. So you need to have your horizon line and your vanishing point. Everything is going to disappear to that 1 point. Now with perspective drawing, I was taught in a very traditional way with rulers and mathematics, but as visual artists, you need to understand the fundaments of it, and then you rely on the fact that you've been sketching things to understand what you think reasonably looks a sense of reality. Understanding that as things disappear into the distance, it's called foreshortening. So things get larger, like you said, scale increases as it's close to you. What I want you all to do is I want you to look at the ceiling. So wherever you are, so look down the room. When I look down the room here, all those lines disappear into a narrower point, and all the lights get closer together. So Catherine, for example, you're going to look this way. You see how everything kind of goes that way?
Yeah.
And then these, if you look at it, the space between the lights gets closer as it goes further away and bigger as it gets closer to you.
Yeah.
Basic rules. If you look at the corners of the room, they all head to this one vanishing point, okay? So the train tracks, it's as simple as the train tracks is like this. So I want you to draw 2 marks here in the foreground. They're the edge of the train tracks, they're the rail bits, okay? All I'm going to do, you can use a ruler if you want, and I'm going to take 1 line here and 1 line all the way back here. Okay? The train tracks is a very simple, I will put this up as a video for you guys to follow as well from one of my classes I did. I actually have a video of this. And so you can imagine what comes with train tracks. So you want to look, as they get closer, you make them a bit thicker. Further away, they're really thin. There's those metal bits. And so obviously with the train tracks, they won't suddenly stop there. but I'm going to draw in my first sleeper. So this is sleeper 1, and sleeper 1 is about this wide. What do you think I've got to do next? These are the edges. What am I doing here?
You have to make them go towards the vanishing point.
Yeah, same. So I line this up. If you have a ruler, I could get a ruler, a massive ruler to make it easier for myself. Everything will align up towards that point. And the same here. You can do this by freehand. Okay, and what I'm going to add as well, in the foreground, I want to make it look thicker and chunkier. So I'm going to bring all the vertical lines straight down the same. All the horizontal ones mimic each other. So that's my very first sleeper in place, okay? And I'm going to also put in here, I'm just going to put a couple of nails in there. And then you start to go, well, where am I going to place the next one? Okay? So if I actually just then go, okay, well the next one goes here naturally. And it will be a bit thinner than that one. And I have to do this more with my eye, because we're sketching it, we're not being technical geniuses. And then the space is going to get closer here than the one before. And it's thinner. And then it's closer. And it's thinner. And it's closer. It's thinner. Okay, and then I can start doing detailing if I want to. So all these lines again, they have to fly back to this point. So I'm just going to go in and start to make this one just thinner though than the top one. Same. Okay. And then I can start to use shading. You see it's just going to go to a scribble at the end there. And then you can start using all your shading to give a really three-dimensional effect. So that's just train tracks going into the distance, but then you can start to add more things to this. Let's add, what do you want to add to it? I'm not adding a train. You do the train. Let's add a fence. Okay, so we want the fence coming off here and disappearing into here, but you've got to kind of decide that it's here. So the fence is going to be here, for example. I'm going to do my first fence post. Like this, there's my first round fence post, bit of grass, and I'm going to take that right back using the guidelines. These are guidelines again. And I'm just going to put some fence posts in, and they can be sort of, you can vary the sizes and the shapes of them when you've got more time. But the same thing, bringing it in so it's a little bit closer. This is without maths, it's just literally my eye trying to work it out. Bringing it in a little bit closer and a bit thinner. Bring it in, and then you can even put in okay, so then you've got a fence, right? So you've got your fence, you've got this. What about we put a tree in? Would you like some trees?
And put a set of trees in.
Some trees, yeah, a nice set of trees. So I might put here, On here, I'm just going to show a very basic tree. Like an avenue, but we're putting everything into this picture. We're going to town. And it's the same thing. There's the top of the tree, there's the bottom of the tree. I'm going to create my guidelines, take it up, and do exactly what I did with everything else. So there's a tree. I'm going to put a tree here. I might change the shape slightly, make it a bit bobblier. I don't know, it's probably better to keep it the same for your sakes. And then I might bring this one here. And I might have a little bush there instead. And then I might put another tree up there. And then you start to do things like add in your shading, add in your texture. So there's obviously at the foreground you're going to have more detail than you are as it goes into the distance. Unless you're leading to something. This is a very good example of foreground, middle and background. Apply your light source, all those kind of details, fade it out as you go to the back. It's the same thing with all of that too. And it's the same thing with these. You can start applying a light source, you know, and bringing the shadowing going across. Making it look three-dimensional, adding your textures in. And obviously, when you're doing this, you do remove your guidelines, such as the horizon line, okay? So that's 1 point perspective. So the important things for you to remember are that you create a horizon line and you create a vanishing point. Whatever you create here, so if you want this to have this amount of distance, it has to be set in the foreground, and then you disappear everything back to the background. So height as well. So if you were doing a street that way, it would be a very similar situation. Any questions? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Very, very simple, and that helps you with your composition as well. And then adding to that, think about things like, in here, where do you add in, so you need to also add in those things of shading and you could make the foreground more detailed. You can sometimes make the middle bit more detailed and everything else blur out if you want to. So 2 point perspective.